quick, man.
Relax. Say
Real
that.
quick, man. I just want to say, Iffy, man. Like ever since I met you, bro, since day one, we've always just connected, man. And last time we chilled, we were in Dallas, like this is like a few weeks ago, like a month ago.
Yeah,
And we were at the Monarch, bro. We were breaking bread. Bro, that
yeah.
place was fire. And I could
That shit
lie,
was exquisite. Yeah, hell
with
yeah.
with the eats, man. I know you had I think the clams, bro. You had some fire food.
Bro, I
Bro,
never seen something like that before. They had like some shrimp ravioli, something. I don't know, bro. That shit was busting. That shit was
That's
fire.
like
Exquisite.
that
Exquisite.
really sound different. You don't understand. I've been growing up on ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, that shit sounds amazing.
it be like that though, man. When you're trade in the morning doesn't hit, it's ramen for the day, bro. When that tray be smacking, man, we be eating filet mignon.
Lobster. You know what I'm saying? It's either lobster or ramen, it's no in between really.
No cap.
Swear. But yo, real quick, guys, I appreciate both of y'all for hopping in, making these calls happen. It's already 11:19, so people were locked in with us. They're ready to get the sauce going. So yo, broski, V, the GOAT, bro. For those of you who do not know you, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, bro, what is the origin story? What really made you turn around from, just an average 9-to-5 worker to someone who really just dedicated their life and effort into the charts?
Oh shit, man. Before the charts, I mean, my first online money was just like through e-commerce. And so from there, I just knew online money was possible. At the time I was doing e-commerce, it was great, it was lit. And I actually lost my e-com store because I signed up before I was 18. And so you got to be 18 at the time to have like an eBay store. Um, and so when they found out my actual age and everything like that, I lost my store. And so it's crazy because in the moment, it's like in that moment, that was my mainstream of income. And I'm like, yo, fuck, like, I don't want to go back to working. And you know what I'm saying? And so it was really a blessing in disguise because that was the thing that pushed me towards actually looking into other ways to make money online. And I came across trading. And then coming across trading, going through basic stuff, YouTube University, it wasn't really enough when I got connected with this and plugged into a platform, made my first couple, it was like $200 that I made from a trade idea. And I'm like, yo, I'm literally just sitting here and I just made $200. Yeah, baby pips, man. Shout out to the the OGs that have been here for a minute. Baby pips, get you on the basics. But when I made that $200, I just knew right then. I'm like, yo, like this is fucking it. Like this is the golden ticket right here, man. So that's what really got me into trading, man. It's just really losing my e-com store got me into trading. So shout out to eBay.
Bro, that's a blessing in disguise. And that's crazy. How you got $200, pretty early off. Like, bro, it took me a minute just to make $2.
But it was like, yo, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just taking a trade idea. I placed the trade and it hit. And so like just having that real moment, and that's one thing that I tell people, like when you make money and you withdraw it, like it really becomes real for you. It's like it's different when you make money and you just leave it there on your screen, on your phone. It's like, okay, it's still an idea. But when you actually extract that money from like thin air, where it's like, yo, I just literally just printed this money. It really makes it surreal for you. And yeah, shout out. Shoot, what app was that? This was like way back IM OG days. It was one of the old apps.
Wait, was this before MT4?
No, it was still on MT4. It was still on MT4, but it was one of the old apps that they had, like one of the old services that they had through the platform. I can't remember what they called
Was
it.
it like the scalping one? I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was it wasn't swipe trades. I'm pretty sure it was like something before swipe trades, because swipe trades was like a little newer. This was like
I think I
2000.
know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, this was like
That was a
2000.
minute ago.
Yeah, it was a minute ago,
So
man.
like since like I know this journey, bro, trading can be like it can be very just tough, man. Like it's really I feel like only the strongest will survive in this game. So like through your trials and tribulation, man, especially in the beginning, bro, like tell us, kind of walk us through that, bro. Like what kind of kept you going through that process in the beginning?
Shit, man. I say all the time, like committed, not addicted, bro. Like it was, I became obsessed.
Mhm.
I really just
Alright.
became obsessed. And it was like, yeah, man, I had days, everyone has had that. And I feel like when you start off and you just don't really know much, like you're a lot braver. You know what I'm saying? It's like you brave as hell. You don't know what the fuck you doing. Brave as hell. Right.
It's like it's like when they say it's like ignorance on fire. You know, like sometimes knowledge on ice, right? Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice because someone may not know what the hell they're doing, but they're fucking taking action, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of moving the bar forward. But someone who may know everything, they have that analysis paralysis, and they're not really doing shit. But that's crazy.
Yeah, what I would say what really did it for me was like I had my first 1K day kind of early on. That was like in my first year and a half. But yeah, like I said, didn't really know what I was doing. Like, yo, I'm trading EU, I'm dropping standards. Like it's like I'm thinking I'm trading $1 per pip, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not knowing, but I was studying the charts and looking at technicals. And I had like my first 1K day, and I feel like that's what really locked me in. Having that first like big day, it was like, yo, this shit's really possible. But like, after that, I had to get right and learn risk and stuff like that. Cause yeah, I blew accounts, man. Hella accounts, just from improper risk. But that's what really kept me in, bro. Is like, I became really committed after that, after really seeing it was possible.
Yo, were
Bro,
you working at the same time, or were you like unemployed at this like already at this time when you started trading?
No, I was working at the time. I was working at the freaking Nationals baseball stadium. It's crazy. I was working at the
Where?
National Baseball Stadium. Yeah, because I had lost my e-commerce store. So it was like me getting into trading brand new. I couldn't, like, this wasn't something where I could just transition and just like, all right, boom, I lost my e-com store. Let me just go into trading and this is gonna pay for the shit that I need. And so like having that transition, it was like I had to, go back to working and everything like that. And it was a journey, man. It was really, really a journey. I used to work at the National Stadium. My last two jobs before quitting, just like being out of the whole 9 to 5 realm was at Walmart and at Macy's. Those were like my last two jobs. That was like shit, almost 5
So
years ago now.
like let's talk about that real quick. Like what was your dynamic with like trading and working, having like a 9 to 5, man? Because that's not an easy thing to balance. And I know a lot of people maybe on this call are still working a job, and there's nothing wrong with working. You know, you definitely want that cash flow coming in because that's what's really gonna allow you to accelerate in your trading. So like what was like how are you balancing like, going to Walmart, going to the stadium, and then like also trading at the same time? Like what are some tips that like you can give the people?
Well, one thing that I used to do is like I would always just pre-mark up my charts. Because TradingView, like at this time, TradingView was out, like, people were really getting hip to TradingView. But TradingView, it saves your markups and stuff. And so I was really big on just the night before me having to go to work, I was really big on marking up my charts ahead of time. So that way I already had all my areas and my zones and stuff. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty tricky for myself just because like when I was working at Walmart, I was on the register, yo. Like, but I was like, bro, I became so obsessed. And that's what I really tell people what you want to do. Like, you want to really become obsessed. Whatever it is that you're doing, that you're trying to see consistency in, you want to become so obsessed with it. To where it's like at any given moment, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a chore. But myself, like I was working at the register, and so like I would have my zones marked up, everything like that. Before I got into the smaller time frame entries, just setting pendings. That's really what it was. It was just straight up, like, that's how I had to do it, really. I couldn't sit and watch the smaller time frame to get that like super small risk entry. It was just straight up like, yo, let me mark my areas ahead of time, pendings off of 30-minute candles, 15-minute candles. And so that really helped me. And I would manage my trades and like take profits on them and stuff like that. I would literally have to leave the register. Like, yo, my name was the #1 name on that fucking intercom. I lie to you not. Like, I would leave the register. I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, yo, my trade about to hit TP. I need to secure this real quick. I leave the register, go to the bathroom. I don't recommend y'all to do this, but I'm just saying that's what I would do. But yeah, just really, marking up the areas ahead of time, and setting pendings. Those were the two things that I had to do, with having to work and everything like that, and alerts too, like alerts.
So I'm curious, bro. Obviously, you're saying you're starting off as more of like a, long-term kind of trader, higher time frames, then pending orders. How did you slowly start to transition over to smaller time frames? How did you start getting yourself that freedom to start, taking like a step away from your job and then having the time to look at the smaller time frames?
So it was really, because I always did just a lot of back testing. And so at the time with me, working and, just the schedule that I had, I just never, like, I just did what was working for me. But going through back testing data, that's when I really came across the breakthrough of just like everything was fractal. And so I could do the same thing that I did on the 1 hour, but like on the 5 minute, just waiting for that same break of structure and then set a pending, but now based upon that 5 minute. And so yeah, what really I would say got me to that point was just back testing. Like, I'm always back testing, just different ideas, different things that I observe and just kind of see in the market. But once I came across the smaller time frame entries using market structure, at first it just really didn't require me to like trade as much when I was working. It was like, yo, if I can get one of these to play out for the day and get a 1 to 6, 1 to 7. I had like way bigger risk to reward targets for like a first partial at the time. It was just like, yeah, I just really need one or two of these to hit, and I don't really have to, that's it, it's GG's. But it was difficult, like at work. I actually ended up quitting at Walmart. And it's a real transition phase, and that's what I tell people. It's like once you start getting some type of consistency, when it comes to trading, like, you definitely don't want to just straight up quit your job right away, because trading is super psychological. Um, and it's like it puts a lot of strain on your mental, having to feel like, yo, like, I gotta make this work. Or I'm not gonna be able to pay this or pay that. Right. And so for me, it was like a slow transition of like, okay, once I started getting more consistent, really, I learned this from Jim Rohn, just the magic of part-time. Like, that's what I really implemented. Once I started getting more consistent, I went from, full-time at Walmart to part-time at Walmart, and it gave me more chart time. And then eventually I was like, okay, I want to do something that's more kind of like on call, because, trades were getting better, consistency was getting better, but Walmart didn't have like an option like that. So I ended up quitting Walmart. Um, and I ended up working at Macy's, on call. Right. So it was like, they would call me in whenever they, needed an extra person. And it was dope because I could choose whether or not I wanted to go in that day. And so like that for a while was like a good cushion for myself, because it was like, all right, I got slapped up today. You know what I'm saying? They call me in tomorrow, I'm going in. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, all right, we chilling today. So it's like, I had the option to choose when I wanted to actually go in or not. And then once like really getting more consistent, and it was like, okay, I didn't have to accept, whenever they would call as much, it was just I slowly transitioned. And honestly, I am helped with that too, like having multiple streams of income. I am is something that really helped with that as well. Because like on the journey and all of that and getting consistent with trading, I was at like P2, like P1-ish, right? And so honestly having that extra stream of income, like it does majors, especially when you're trading, right? When you're trading, it's like now it's like, okay, you're leveraging that to actually make more profit in the market. And so me being at like, hovering around from P2, P1, that really helps whenever I decided like, all right, cool, I'm not going to really do the on-call thing anymore. And then from there, I had the time to just go all in with IM, go all in on the trading side of things, the building side of things, really helping people, learn the skill set. And yeah, that's how it really happened for me. Like helping other people learn the skill set and teaching other people actually made me better in my own like trading. Um, like it really does for me personally. And then once I was able to get someone that I could work with a little more closely, it's like when you have that other person that you really can work with, it's like now you guys can just really take off. So that's how it really happened for me.
That's fire, man. That's crazy. Honestly, like I can relate to your story so much, man. Like that work and trade dynamic was crazy, man. And I know that I would be sneaking into the bathroom, like taking trades, man. They're always like, "Oh, where's Kevo at?" And I'm just like
That's a fact.
taking 5 trades at a time, bro. And like 20 minutes would pass by, they're like, "Yo, where is he at?" And I'm like just trading my phone. No, that was crazy times, man. Now that's really what shifted my paradigm, bro. It's like just like you said, you made like your first like $200, like pretty much right off the rip. I started seeing like $50 gains, and I'm at work, and I'm like looking at my phone and some profits, and I'm just like looking at everyone like, yo, like look at this is crazy. And they're like, dude, I could make it at McDonald's, like working in McDonald's, and like they would just be like shitting on me. But it was really, like I feel like you had that depth of vision. Maybe in the beginning it was nothing like crazy or life-changing money, but you saw what that $20 can turn into, what that $200 can turn into, right? While other people just saw the small amount in the beginning. So like that's crazy, man. And um I had a question I was going to ask you that related to something, but I don't know, Caesar, if you have a follow-up question.
I got you.
But
First of all, kudos to y'all that actually went out the way, to go trade. Because I ain't gonna hold you. When I first started trading everything, I was working at McDonald's, full-fledged, honestly. Like, and so I was literally in the drive-through, morning rush and lunch rush on my phone, money in one hand, taking orders on the other hand, and staring at my trades getting clapped because I was not managing them at all. But feel me, it was not ideal. So kudos to y'all because I was literally there getting clapped and then yelling at the customer. It was crazy. Do not recommend it. But so actually, V, I do have a question. Following up what you said, right? You start collecting your data, right? You went ahead and started back testing, see what really worked for you, what time frame. Like I happen to understand it's all fractal. How would you tell people to go about collecting their own data? Which session really works best for them, which currency pair, right? And because honestly, for me in the beginning, I always heard you want to have your set pairs, but then I'll go just look on TradingView and all the pairs are there. I'm like, damn, I don't want to go ahead and backtest all of that. I'm a little lazy. So like, how did you go about it, bro?
So for me, it was really putting in back testing time. So what I'll actually do is I'll take a sheet of paper and you got to be like super real with yourself whenever you're back testing. And so like I always recommended people like you want to not only back test, but you want to forward test as well. Like that's where it's gonna really bring you your major data is forward testing, right? But when it comes to back testing, I would get a sheet of paper and I would create a win loss, and then I would tally up pretty much wins and L's based upon the confirmations that I look for. And so I would go back and I would actually look through the data to see like, okay, if this is a move that happens, see this move that happened, 100 pips, 200 pips, whatever the case may be, how could I have caught that move based upon the confirmations that I look for? And then just kind of reading the chart from left to right. So that's kind of the thing, like when you're back testing, I would scroll all the way back, like not all the way to where there's no data, but I would just scroll back to any random place. And then I would start reading it from left to right because that's how the market moves, and kind of just following the data to see like, okay, how would I have approached this or approached that based on my confirmations, and just tallying up if that would have been a win or if that would have been a loss. So what that actually did for me was like build confidence in my setup, right? Was seeing that data, seeing it like, okay, boom, this is what I wait for and look for. Well, shit, 100 pip reaction happened after that. You know what I'm saying? And seeing that over and over, that built my confidence in what it is that I'm waiting for, my confirmations. And then from there, like the forward testing is what I would say will really help you understand like what session you're better at trading, you know, what pairs are better for you. You know, you can use stuff like my FX book as well. But I think forward testing is the best way to go, because then you have that real time data like as it's happening, where it's like, okay, this is what I'm looking at, USD CAD, you know, the trade were during New York session. These were my confirmations, right? That trade played out, was a winner or a loser. And then having that data over the course of 50 trades, now you can look at your losers and you can see, okay, yeah, I had some winners during this time of the day, but most of my losers happened during this time of the day. So let me just not trade this time of the day and see how that works for me, right? Like, yeah, I was making some profit on this particular pair here and there, but it seems like most of my losses are coming from this pair. Let me do away with this pair. Let me focus on this one. I see, boom, all my winners are on UCAD, gold, this, that, right? So let me focus on those and do away with the other ones. And so when you collect that data over 50 trades, you know, Mark Douglas says sample size of, you know, 20, 25 trades is cool too. But over 50 trades is what I would do it over. It really helps you just decide like, okay, I'm gonna do more of what's working and less of what's not working. You know, so the forward testing 100% is, I would say, the best way to go about it.
Sheesh.
That's facts, bro. Journaling is really what I think is a missing key for a lot of traders, man. I cannot emphasize that enough, honestly. Because just like you said, like, how do you know what you're doing right and like what you're doing wrong if you're not like tracking that? Because there's this quote that always stuck with me that I heard, that's like, dude, insanity. The definition of insanity is literally doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So how are you going to, you know, change, right? If nothing changes, nothing changes. So like, how are you going to change if you don't know what the fuck to change, right? So
That's
I
a
think that
fact.
that's really powerful, man. Is you know, tracking your data, because you can't grow what you're not tracking at the end of the day. But no, that's bars, man. That's bars.
No, that,
And
yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just say, no, that's 100%. Like being a completely real, like for years of my trading career, like I didn't journal or track any of my stuff. And after getting into doing that, I feel like I wasted so much time, just not tracking that data. Um, but like once I really got into like tracking my data, and like for me, before I really got into being more consistent with it, I would write things down after it happened to me so many times. It was like, all right, this shit has happened to me. Like, all right, I remember this. Let me write this down. Like, that's how I would do it. And it's a slower process doing it that way, where it's like, you got to get clapped 4 or 5 times on the same scenario before you decide, all right, maybe I should take note of, all right, don't trade it this time. Don't take this signal or whatever the case may be. But like for a while, that's how I went about it. And you know, you can get progress that way, you know, learning from your mistakes like that. But actually recording the data, it puts you like light years ahead, in my opinion.
Sheesh. No, I believe it, because like you may have all that data, you have the collective. Now you really have concrete, evidence to prove to yourself, like, all right, you know what, this is working out, this isn't. So I'm curious, bro. As you start collecting data, as you start collecting evidence to tell you, okay, you're great at this and pretty bad at this. obviously it's one thing to now start understanding the technical side, but the emotional side, the psychological side. How is it that once you start collecting your data, you're able to control your ego on those winning streaks versus, you think you're doing the right way, now you're trading the right currency pair, but now you're on the losing streak. How did you control your emotions as well, on the winning side and losing side?
Yeah, man, good question. I would say at first the winning streaks always were the worst for me, because then you just get sloppy. You don't do your due diligent process, like in getting those winning streaks. Like when you get those winning streaks, it's like you feel like, yo, it's just like I got this, like it's, but you still got to follow your same step by step due diligence process even after those winning streaks. And so for me, I would just really notice that, like that's something that I just noticed in myself, where I was like, yo, when I start like really cooking their ass, I get a little sloppy after a while, because you chillax and you're like, yo, like we barbecued them, you know what I'm saying? You just waiting for the next, you being
Let
all,
them cook.
yeah, like you just, you don't even go to your setup. You just like, I'm gonna just take it off on my phone. Like, no, nigga, go to your setup, bro.
No
Like,
scoping, bro.
so I would say the winning streaks, at first were the worst for me. But I would say now, honestly, it's a little more backwards, to where it's like when I get a winning streak, I almost I'll just be like done. I'll be like not want to give shit back. Just like, yo, like, nah, I don't want to get nothing back. Let me go ahead and risk some of my profit. I like this setup. I'm gonna risk some of my profit. But like nowadays, it's like when I get to that point where it's like I'm satisfied in my percentage, I really just don't want to give shit back at all. And I'll just chill out, I'll really just chill out. Now, when it comes to the losing streaks, a lot of people know me for, the idea of creating multiple accounts. That's what saved me with the losing streaks, right? Because it's like you can survive losing streaks, right? A losing streak is just two or more losses back to back. But when your risk is crazy all over the place, well, it's like, yeah, that losing streak, that shit's gonna cook you, right? That shit is really gonna cook you. And so for me, and it's something I talk about a lot, like what pissed me off with losing streaks was the time that I lost, really, not the money. It's like it took you X amount of time to grow your account from this amount to that amount, and then to go through a losing streak and you use crazy risk or risk that's all over the place, you really mess up those gains in a few trades. And so because I got tired of that, that's when I just came up with the idea, like, yo, like what if I just deposit this money in the other account, and I'll risk it for the biscuit on this account, full margin this bitch. I don't recommend that to y'all. Always use risk capital and everything like that. But then on the proper account, like, just use my proper percentage. So that really helped me with losing streaks, because they do come no matter what strategy or method you use. Like, yo, don't like, they come, they definitely do. It's just part of the game for sure.
Bro, I wish I would have knew that's part of the game, because when I tell you in the beginning, the minute I took just a single loss, I was like, you know what? It's not me, it's the strategy. So I was bouncing around worse than you guys, my roommates. I had so many jobs in this trading journey. Like I was bouncing around trading strategies more than actual jobs. Feel me? So that's funny. Like you said, right? It comes with part of the game. That's why we have great R&R, right? That's why we proper risk, right? Understanding our risk. So no, that's completely like fire, bro. Because like high key, I think that was one thing that really challenged me as a personal trader as well. So it was like, okay, as you're on a winning streak, control the ego, because you don't want to go from risking a quarter. So now, all right, you 2-0, let's go ahead and risk a half to 3-0, let's go risk a whole account, and then back to the starting line, right? So,
Facts.
curious, bro, it is money heist. These people did come tuned in, tapped in, ready to learn not just psychology, not just your origin story, right? Villain arc activated, but also, bro, I'm curious. Do you have any setups pending right now for this week? Anything cooking that's looking pretty, scrumdiddlyumptious, just ready to be marinated put on the grill?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm actually stocking this gold right now.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
share.
we'll both have a question, bro.
Right, I'm
Say
curious.
that again.
If you want, go ahead, man, and take the sticks, share your screen, bro. If you want to break down a setup or two, go
Yeah,
ahead and pass it
definitely.
on to you.
Definitely. Let me.
Um, did you got co-host already?
Yeah, he said.
All right, I bet.
You guys can see the gold screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm actually stocking this gold right now. I really trade New York session. I stopped trading Asian session like that. Unless it's just been like super, super crispy. But yeah, I'm stocking this gold. I am wanting it personally to come like lower into this region. And absolutely does not have to do that because overall this thing is like super bullish. So this is my range here based on the daily time frame. So this is a daily range for myself. And then this is my internal liquidity based upon that range. Right, on this 1 hour, it looks like we got this little 1 hour break of structure here. Now we do have PPI in the morning time, right? And so we haven't like actually officially tagged this right here, which is what I was wanting us to get to. But I had like a pending just like probably like a pip or so below this level, and we got like these equal highs. It could still pop up in there, but I am in from like right here, like with the folks drawdown, and we have this little 5 minute break of structure here. So I did take like another position here. Um, so I'm wanting to see this thing come down, but since I'm overall bullish, I'm just being mindful that it really doesn't have to do that if it doesn't want to. This was my first area for the buys. And I just missed that because of time of day. And so I snagged it here today. So I am still holding this buy, about 40% of my position on here. So, in case of this short here is wrong, but I am thinking this thing needs to come down. To me, this is a full 1 hour break of structure. The only thing is just we're still bullish on this on this 4 hour and this daily time frame. But I would like to see something like that personally. Right. And so the way I like to approach the charts is if this then. So if price does this, then I'll do that. Right. That's the way I like to do things to stay fluid in the market because at the end of the day, the market's going to do what it wants to do. So right now, my approach on this, still holding this buy from in here. Right. If the market ends up coming down and coming back below this low here, and that'll hit me break even on my buy. If the market does that, then I'll look for a potential like redistro to see us come below these lows. All right. Now, if the market pops above these highs, right, and takes me out of my short, then I'll look for a reaccumulation back at this 1 hour candle here, sitting inside of that imbalance. Right. And so it really just depends on what we decide to do overnight for London as far as like how I'm going to approach things for New York session. But I am favoring this coming back below this low here. But yeah, I mean I'm positioned on both sides, so it can do what it do. It can do what it do. USD CAD. Actually, let me check out this real quick. Yeah, I like that a lot. So right now we're in this range from monthly 1900 to monthly 2050. Right, we are in overall bullish conditions based upon the daily time frame. Right, and our fair value of this range from monthly to monthly is this weekly area. Right, as prices in bullish conditions and we come below fair value, right? That's buying opportunity. So, right, price comes below this weekly level, fair value accumulates buying opportunity. Below fair value, buying opportunity. Below fair value, buying opportunity. Right, above fair value, selling opportunity. Above fair value, selling opportunity, right? And so right now we're above this fair value of this range here, and I would like for us to dip below it, coming into that zone that I had on the last chart, before continuing upside. So we shall see on that for Goldilocks. But even with this range from this weekly 1975 to 2050, right, we've broken the 1 hour structure to the downside. So 1 hour is in bearish conditions for me, and we're coming above this fair value, this daily here, while the 1 hour is bearish. So I would like to see this thing come lower from this overall area, right? And just being mindful of the news tomorrow, right? Because, right, news could possibly bring us above those. Let me go back to my other chart. Right, possibly bring us above those. So I do see, yeah, I do like this little candle in here. Right, so that's what I'm seeing on gold, right? If we come below this low, back below this, look for redistribution. If we break above the high, look for reaccumulation. If we're somewhere still in the middle by morning time, yeah, I'm gonna just hold it out, with shorts here, buys in here, see who wins. But yeah, favoring this to come below these. And in a perfect world, that would be like my perfect scenario for this buy setup on Goldilocks, because I do think we should see new all-time highs approaching soon, maybe by the end of the week. All right, we shall see. All right, so that's gold and USD CAD. USD CAD, I'm just waiting on this area here. If we leave this like that, oh my God, that would be nice. All right. So I'm looking at this 1 hour candle on USD CAD at 1.34680. All right, 1.34680. And we got like this 15-minute candle up in here as well too, that technically hasn't been traded back to. It's like this didn't, I don't think that really touched that, but even so, yeah, it's like that like just kind of grazed it. I think we could come back in there. But yeah, between this region of 1.34680 and 1.34780, I'm wanting to see UCAD return here and give me a 5-minute break of structure. These leave these lows like that, then that'll be nice for targets. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of riding this UCAD down. I do think ultimately on USD CAD, right, I do think ultimately on USD CAD, we want to see this 1.33750, right? And then maybe eventually this 1.3250 below these equal lows here. But I would really just prefer the fair value there of this range from monthly to weekly. I think we're going to seek that. So that's something that I got my eye out for on USD CAD. I've been liking CAD a lot lately. I got this position here. It held me here, and actually this little wick right there got me out of there before the fall. And I still got this position here. So, maybe can get some add-ons in there. But looking for USD CAD buy to sell, really not going to participate in the buy more than likely. But if we're up in here, after news, before news, either or, whatever you guys like to do. Lately, I've been trading after news. I've been trading after news lately because slippage is a bitch, if you're wrong, depending on your broker. So yeah, this here I really waited for after news. We had news come out, made a lower low, came and gave that retest. So thinking of maybe something, something similar. Maybe news doesn't go too crazy, but that's what I would like to see between 1.34680 and 1.34790-ish. Right. Preferring this 15-minute candle if it got up in there. So, excuse me. That's what I'm looking at on that. And then I'm also looking at 30. I want to see this 30 come lower. This was my area for the buy, but to sell, right? Because when this happened here, this for me was a 1 hour break of structure. Right, I just have this fib on to identify this little area where we can possibly get this rebound out of. But yeah, once we got this, that was a break of structure for myself based upon the 1 hour time frame. Right. And it came and captured this internal liquidity here before the nice sell-off. I just didn't like the price action myself personally. And this was like getting closer to the afternoon session. And I love afternoon session for indices actually. But I just didn't like the way the price action and the volumes were looking here. Just didn't really give me what I wanted to see. But it did pop above this and drop nicely. We are able to trade back up in here. I mean, ideally, I'd like to buy to sell, depending on where we are by the morning time, in case the short is wrong. But what I'm favoring with this 1 hour break of structure, right? Full hour, we made a higher high. 1 hour, we broke structure to the downside. All right, 4 hour, we got this nice candle right in over here to the left. Right, and so we got the 1 hour break of structure coming out of a 4 hour candle. I'm thinking this can give us our retracement based upon this 4 hour range here. All right. Technically, this candle is the one to pay attention to, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a fat candle. So I'm just gonna do my zone like right there, based off of these two consecutive candles there, and just kind of mark the top of this here. Just put on the 4 hour body. So like that's how I would see this on 30. Would like to see.
Now that's clean, bro. I got the same eyes basically for 30 gold as well. I'm looking for the shorts. I think coming out of Asian into London, we could see it maybe run high, like not like the main high, but like just the current like consolidation it's making, and then bust a move lower. USD CAD as well. I got the same eyes for the shorts. It's crazy, man. It's almost like we trade the same way, man. I don't know. And smart
Bro,
money in the game. But
smart money, this is the way the market moves. Like no one could ever tell me otherwise, man. It's the way the market moves. But yeah, if we moved above these highs, that would be nice. I got like a little pending up in here. So like a lot of times, like what I'll do is I'll break up different entries that have different stop levels. Because you can be wrong on your entry, but right on your area, right? And so I'll have multiple entries, but then a lot of the times my stop placement is different on each of those, right? And so that does require you to have to do more math, just to kind of calculate what your overall risk is going to be based on the overall position and the different stops that, what you're risking, each point, or, pips if we're talking about gold and Forex. But yeah, that's how I'll do things to really just mitigate risk.
Question.
Yeah.
When you stack your entries, what is your like process with stacking entries? Like, are you taking different like you just said you do like different risks for each trade that you take? So like when you're stacking entries, like how do you go about it?
So when I'm stacking entries, like for example, UCAD.
Yeah, because I know a lot of traders out there, man. They like, when it comes to trade management, sometimes they be moving their stop loss to break even too soon, and then they get taken out, and then it makes a move, and like, I always get this is a very common question, so I'm really curious to hear what you do.
Yeah, man. So personally, what I'll do, my first entry is usually just based off of that like overall range. So on this USD CAD, this is a 1 hour range for myself, right? So when we created this candle, even though we didn't close below these lows, we traded below this low. So I'm just looking at this as like, okay, this is my range based on the 1 hour. So like my first entry is just gonna straight up be off like that range a lot of the times. So something like this, where if it's small risk, like how this was, because from this candle to here, like that's 10 pips, something like that. All right, boom, I'm gonna just set up straight up pending, just straight up set up pending. And then once we get up in there and then it triggers my pending, now I'm waiting for a 5-minute breaker structure or a 1-minute breaker structure, right, to get another position in there. So this entry here, like my stop would be like this, right? Something like that. And that'd be my stop. But then when we did this, so from this high to that low, it's like we're already in the bearish range. So when we did this, right, we're creating another bearish range inside of a bearish range. So what I look at this like is we're we're almost like we're boxing price, and it's like getting kind of tighter and tighter is how I kind of look at it before it just explodes. It's like imagine we're already in a bearish range, and then we break another bearish range, and then inside of that we break another bearish range. And so this it's like you can play the original one here, but then when it breaks again, you can play this one here, stop loss above there. And then when it breaks again, you can play this one here, stop loss above there. So that's pretty much like what I did here on USD CAD. When we broke this range here, I set a pending at the fill of this imbalance inside of that 5-minute candle.
Now, are you doing the same risk percentage for each trade? I personally, I do like my highest risk on the very like first entry, because that's usually like Pico top, and then I kind of lower my risk on the other ones I add on. But what do you do, bro?
So it really just depends on the setup. Like it depends on what the market gives me, right? So like something like this, where the market already from this original positioning here, it already gave me, close to a 1 to 4, 1 to 3.8 or whatever, right? So something like this, I'm already be break even, right? So this entry goes break even. So let's say I have my full risk on here, because my first entry is usually gonna have like majority of my risk, if not like my full risk. unless I'm really, unless this area, and that's why I say it just depends on the market. Unless this area from here to here is like too much in pips, this was such small risk in pips, my first entry would have a majority of my position. And then when it does this break like this, what I'll do is if this is break even, then I can just add that risk back on there, right? So just for example, let's say you're risking 1%, this goes break even. Well, now you can add that 1% back. And so like one thing with stacking entries is when you're gonna do it in this way, you have to be able to accept the risk, right? The original risk, right? Because I'm never getting on there more than what my daily risk is, right? And so you're pretty much scaling into your daily risk. And so a lot of the times the way I look at it is I rather add on to a position that's showing me that it's already doing what I'm wanting it to do than to try to find something completely new to put risk on. It's like this has already shown me its hand and shown me that price for the most part is high probability that it's breaking down. So I rather find more entries on this than to go to something else, wait for it to set up, whatever the case may have you. Right. So it just depends on how the market is. If my first entries break even, then I'm adding that risk back on the next entry. But like let's say I'm not break even, then I'll just scale into more of whatever my total risk is for the day. Right. And so that's how I'll do that. When it comes to managing your trades, there's just so many ways you could do things. Sometimes, just keeping it in the buck, like I'll even like if this is not break even and I feel confident on the setup, um, and so let's say for example, this is a percentage risk on there. I'll add like 0.6 or 60% of whatever the original position was on there, even if it's not break even, if I'm in other trades that are it floating in profit, to where if I lose that trade, it's like, okay, these other trades are floating in profit. So I can close out and partial on some of those to, actually make some of that back and maybe even a little bit of profit. And so it really just depends on, where I'm at for the week. Have I closed any profits? Am I in floating profits? All of that plays a factor in how I'm going to manage it. But like, let's just say it's like first trade of the week. I don't have anything floating. It's like I haven't closed out any profits. The way that I would do this is, original percentage on that first entry, right? Go break even to go ahead and add it back. And if I'm not break even, then I can add 60% of whatever the original position was. Or I could go to another pair and find another setup, but I just prefer to add to what's already showing me it's working in my favor. So that's how I do that. Hope that makes sense.
No, that made clear sense, bro. And it really just like at the end of the day, you're trusting your trade. You're trusting your confirmations. You're trusting the evidence that you've given yourself within the markets and the clarity. So that's fire, bro. Yo, bro, I appreciate you. I appreciate every single one of you for staying tuned in, tapped in with the GOAT himself, bro. Before we go ahead and end it, right? End this call here and really just let everybody absorb the knowledge and get ready for the next day and go ahead and kill CPI news. I wanted to ask you one final question, bro. So this is something we want to go ahead and ask, all of our guests who come onto here, because, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how many milestones or achievements you touch as yourself, but really we want to ask this question as a form of inspiration onto those, who are in the middle of the journey, still in the beginning, or those who are really trying to figure out what the purpose is in the journey. And that question is, bro, what was the most defining moment to you as a trader? Was it a milestone in terms of finances, a winning streak? Was it just finally having that aha moment that made you understand that's all fractal? What was that moment for you, bro?
Sheesh, man. I would say my biggest moment was, that's a really good question, man. I gotta sit and think on that. Honestly, I'd say probably within the last year, my biggest moment of just really recording everything. Like I went through like recording news, how news reacts, how I should approach news events, you know, like don't sleep on the forward testing, man. I would say that that was really one of my biggest moments because it's like the technicals are there, but when I started really recording more of my stuff so I could see it in front of my face, see like, yo, this is where my losers are coming from. It really did take my trading to another level because like I cut my pairs down. I used to look at and trade more than just these. But it cut down what I traded, it cut down what I allowed to get me in a trade. Um, and it just made everything much more clear of exactly what I need to be waiting for. And so now every single day when I come to the chart, I have an exact, like not up for guess, up in the air. I have an exact step by step of what I'm waiting for. You know what I'm saying? And so now it just becomes it just becomes a matter of just waiting for that. But I would say that and just market structure. Market structure is like Wyckoff is I love Wyckoff too, you know. But to me, market structure and volumes together is goated, man. It really, really is. I look at Wyckoff as just like Wyckoff is really market structure to me. So that's why I always use and like Wyckoff. But yeah, just market structure with the volumes when it comes to the technical side of things. Um, that was huge, man. Volumes is underrated. It's really, really goated in my opinion. But yeah, those are the two things I would say for sure.
Sheesh, that's fire, bro. Cause
Love
like
it, bro.
edge. So like, bro, kudos. Obviously, like it's one thing to go ahead and say, yeah, this worked for me, this worked for myself and I, so maybe you should do it. But it's a whole other level just to like see go through the clarity within your markets or within your charts, literally show prime examples of like what you're looking for, effortlessly saying, yeah, this is why I got in, bro, it's all like secondhand nature. So this has been amazing, bro. Yo, I can't thank you enough, V, for making time out of your day, for making this call happen, pouring into all these students because they really don't affect you directly, bro. So thank you from the bottom of my heart as someone who looks up to as a mentee, as a student to the game, and all around just, a student to you and everything you're willing to pour back into us. So with that being said, yo, Kev, any other final questions, thoughts, comments, concerns from you as well, bro?
Nah, man. I think it's been a phenomenal call. I want to give my gratitude back to V, man. Been crushing it, doing your thing for a very long time, inspiring a lot of people on the way. And looking forward to connecting with you, in the near future again, bro. And appreciate the value that you are pouring into us. And let's get it, man. That's all I got for tonight.
No, definitely,
Drop
definitely.
some love in the chat. Drop some love in the chat for my brother, man. Blow up the chat. Let us know if you rock with this episode. If you want to see V hop on again, man, I wish we could go on for longer, bro, because like 1 hour just does not feel like enough time. But nah, man, I appreciate you, and yeah, man, I think we wrap up the call.
No, definitely, definitely much love. And what I'm saying, if y'all got that I Am Powered, that TBX pack, plug into the boot camp tomorrow. We about to get
Sir.
into some structure sauce, man. So let's get it.
Get it. So, yo, family, we appreciate every single one of y'all for tuning in, tapping out. Started off this cool with 40 plus, finishing off with 25 students strong to the game. So, all this being said, family, as always, stay patient, stay disciplined, and the gains will come. Have a good night, y'all.